Right, so I was pretty bang on for St Giles last Sunday. It wasn't luck either. I mean, the roots growing together thing, I don't sort of prompt these guys. I sort of walk down and sit in the pews and don't say anything and sort of walk out. But the point of growing together plus the fire's half the seat that did happen to give me a sort of satanic image when thinking of the managing director to send off on whenever I senses. But the position remains that if you actually follow the evidence chain back, once again you can sort of casually note while walking into an ancient Christian holy site that you've been entirely correct since last year. My colleagues are sort of thinking in terms of workplace dialogue, in terms of sort of emails between colleagues. So this is kind of the same thing, I suppose, but on a sort of grander scale, I suppose. The current position is nobody can actually do the job. So when you're saying to your employer, well, we can't actually discuss security, and the Mayor of Birmingham is confirming that's the case, that causes a few problems really, including with the credit card issuers, which is why allowing corruption into your organisation is bad, because you get choked unconscious as the money gets cut off. So if you ever run out of money, it's not particularly pleasant. You can't really do much. Your standard of living goes down quite quickly, which is why most people tend to avoid it. But because the employer doesn't care, because the money in that case is just an abstraction, they've been allowed to fester a sort of rat's nest of criminals who've been scurrying around eating all the cheese via Peter cheese. But now he's gone, and auditors can come in with people who can reverse engineer the word games in legal documents quite quickly without using the technology to offload your cognition too much. You can do quite a lot in that kind of organisation. So any kind of corruption probe that would have to involve you logically is going to catch a whole lot of these crooks, and we can start clearing them out of public bodies hopefully fairly soon. The current position effectively is like they have I don't want to use a crude metaphor in the streets, but they've got an initial opening and we're sort of rallying very hard to get through it, and have. So they're now responding to the sort of disembodied ghost while trying to pretend they can't hear, which of course in legal proceedings is going to be quite funny, but more quite serious when they all go to jail. It was fairly obvious to everyone involved that this would happen within, I don't know, I assume his partners are betting on it. I mean, we're talking probably, I would have done this within a month or so it's taken me this long. Maybe I am weak, but the old man's dead, so it makes things easier. But in any case, the current position going into Monday is we still have no contact with any kind of credible authority in the city. So if we're talking then in terms of defence, the solution is fairly obvious. Kinetic artillery is still relatively cheap. So if you get lots and lots of howitzers, point them at Birmingham, just surround the place, the stupidest ape, because we're dealing with apes, can look at that and say, well, if I misbehave in some fashion, this thing will unleash hell from the sky and I will instantly die. So a possible alternative is, if you think possibly you may have caused problems or not wanted at this particular point, you may wish to sort of consider leaving peacefully. So not driving into people, not attacking people, not trying to steal things, just leaving peacefully. Okay, relationship's broken down, a bit of a post-war hangover, shall we say. Thanks very much, but we're going to carry on, I think, on our own path in a Scrutonian sense. So every time you think about it, it's just so true. The defence review must involve drones. I'm sure there are various bits of the bureaucracy working on that in terms of British defence, but as the average person in the street doesn't actually know what their personal protections are, it's fairly obvious that if you have a brain, going to the sort of place which is naturally dug into the rock and where you can possess weapons is probably a good idea if you live in Birmingham.